Welcome to the Story Partners Podcast. I'm Annie Manus, and we're so glad you found us. Can you believe that we're already through Season 2? Weren't those stories amazing? If you're along on this journey with us, thank you. Thank you for being here. It has been so cool to hear from the Story Partners podcast community about how these stories have encouraged you and shaped your faith. We love what we get to do, and we're so excited for what God has in store for the future. To each of the subjects who have shared your stories in this season, thank you. Thank you for being so open and honest with the story that God has written in your life. Thank you for trusting us with your story and allowing us to share it with the world. It truly is an honor. You may have noticed that Season 2 got a new podcast logo. If you check it out, you'll see a stack of rocks. Any ideas what that represents? No, it's not some strange New Age symbol. It's actually an Ebenezer, a stone of remembrance. Just like how Samuel raised a stone to remember what God had done in defeating the Philistines, or how the Israelites collected the 12 stones once they crossed into the Promised Land in the book of Joshua. They serve as a memorial to proclaim the beauty and good news of what God has done, a visual reminder of his faithfulness. Our podcast is the same, our own Ebenezer that we are building with each of you who are with us in this. Together we are gathering stones, or stories, and putting them on display, allowing them to remind us of the goodness of God, allowing them to bring our minds and our hearts again and again back to the faithfulness of Jesus. Each of the 12 stories in Season 2 has impacted Walt and I in some way. But every season there's always one or two episodes that hit extra hard for us, ones that God really uses to shape us in our own hearts and lives with him. If I had to pick two episodes that were especially meaningful to me this season, I would have to say first was Dana Grindall's story. That's episode 8, called Misaligned. She talks about God freeing her from a performance attitude toward him and how he brought her into alignment with her true identity of being fully loved by him. I also absolutely love Tim Schulte's story, episode 9, called The Encounter. This one gets my most listened to award because, no lie, I have listened to it probably a dozen times or more. Tim is my cousin, and the story is not only so beautiful and moving, but it's deeply personal for me, and I just love it so much. Walt was pretty excited about this season because we often tell a lot of stories from women, but this season we had a lot of guys sharing stories. We sometimes find that guys don't want to go deep into the heart issues, but you dudes really showed up this season. Well done. Walt's personal favorites for this season were episode 1, Kyle Hubbart's story of a near-death experience called To Hell and Back. Episode 2, which is Eddie Smith's story of growing up in inner-city Chicago, called The Journey. Episode 6 is Tim Crowder's story of finding lasting security called At Least We're Still Rich. And episode 9, Tim Schulte's story of God cutting through the addiction to the heart of the issue in The Encounter. So, Walt had quite a few favorites this time. If you haven't had a chance to listen to all 12 stories from this season, we would highly encourage you to go listen to each one. They truly are incredible stories that are worth your time. And don't forget about Season 1. There are some jewels back there too. We believe that God is going to use these stories to encourage your faith. We could not have done this season alone, and we have some very important people we would like to thank. First off, we want to thank our co-founders of Story Partners, Josh and Sarah Kerr. Josh and Sarah are our dear friends and incredible partners in ministry. We are so grateful that we get to do this with them. Thank you to our board of directors who provides leadership and oversight to this work. Cynthia, Adam, Emmy, and Nathan, you guys are deeply invested in every way, and we are so grateful for you. Thank you to Matt Slavic for helping us edit several of this season's episodes. It has been so fun to work with you, Matt. Thanks for all the hours that you've invested. We want to say thank you to every one of our donors in our crowdfunding community. You guys really made this season possible. Thank you for your financial investment in this work. Again, we would like to thank everyone who shared a story with us for Season 2. We know that it's a sacrifice to share your story publicly, and we want to thank you for your bravery and your willingness to share the story that God has written in your life. Thank you. Thank you to each person who has reached out to share how a particular story has impacted you. That is such an encouragement to us as we continue on in the work. We are so grateful to hear the ways that God is moving through these stories. We want to say thank you to everyone who helped to promote this season. If you shared an episode with a friend, if you posted it on your social media, or if you told someone about our work at Story Partners, thank you. This is a grassroots marketing effort, and so we really appreciate the Story Partners podcast community helping us get the word out about these stories. Thank you to each one of you who prays for us. Without your prayers and without God leading us in this, none of it would matter. We are already well underway with recording for season 3, so there's a lot more to come. If you don't already know, we also make short documentary films. You can find our short films on YouTube or on our website. If you want to follow along with all things Story Partners, be sure to subscribe to this podcast and check out the show notes where you can find links to our socials. You can also find all the goods on our new updated website at storypartners.org. We know that you know about great stories, and we want to hear from you, so don't be shy. If you know of a great story you think we should tell, reach out to us on social media or by submitting a story on our website. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for following along with us this season. We'll see you again in season 3.